Listener supported, volunteer powered. We are KPOV Bend, Oregon. And this is Merle Evers.
The views and opinions expressed during the following show are solely those of the participants and do not necessarily reflect that of KPOV or High Desert Community Radio.
She's a real woman with a real life. She's someone you can relate to. Open Air with Dawn Newton.
Knocking down bluebells on a sunny Saturday. Knocking down bluebells, see what that old man had to say. Knocking down bluebells, sweet lady's favorite kind. I'm knocking down bluebells.
Hey, good afternoon, everyone. This is Open Air. I am your host, Dawn Newton. You are listening to 889 KPOV, your High Desert Community Radio, where we are streaming live online 24 hours a day at kpov.org. You can find us and like us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. That would be KPOV Bend. You can find me on those platforms as well as Dawn Newton. Coming up on today's show, I have a special guest in studio. Eric Leadbetter is here, where he's here to debut their new album. It was just released, I believe, March 4th. Maybe you were at the Domino Room for that performance. But we're going to be playing music here from the album and talking to Eric all kind of behind the scenes, the new band, the video, all of it. Why'd you name this Cake? Makes you hungry, maybe. But he's going to explain all of that. So, and we're going to be playing several songs off the new CD, and just everything. It's all Eric Leadbetter and the Leadbetter Band today on Open Air. So stay tuned. We'll be right back with Eric Leadbetter.
Hi, everybody, wherever you may be. This is Bill Shinley, and you're listening to Dawn Newton, Rip City, baby.
Hey, welcome back, everyone. This is Open Air. I am your host, Dawn Newton. Joining me in studio, Eric Leadbetter, the Leadbetter Band. Thanks for coming in, Eric.
Yeah, thanks so much for having me, Dawn. It's great to be back on the show.
Absolutely. Congratulations on the new album.
Woohoo! Thank you.
Your third album.
This is the third Leadbetter Band album, yes.
Titled
correct.
Cake.
It's titled Cake, yeah, after the first song on the album.
So you were in last summer, and we were just kind of doing all things Eric Leadbetter and in your past and how this all got started for you. So since then, you've been busy. Yeah,
I've been really, really busy. It's been really fun kind of reinventing our sound and with some new members in the band. I'm playing with Aaron Moore on the bass and vocals, which I noticed that was a pretty cool intro to your show, that beginning of Bluebells with Aaron Moore singing on that. And then Caleb Kelleher on drums, and he's actually starting to sing now too. So it's a whole, you change one member of a band, it's a totally different band. You change two members of a band, you get even more that much of a different vibe. So I really am enjoying playing with these two guys and how they've interpreted my songs.
So are Aaron and Caleb, are they local? Or
yeah, they are.
How did you guys come together?
So Caleb Kelleher and I used to play music together in a band called Jive Coolie. He was the last standing drummer of that band before it dissolved. And then he and I also played together in Watkins Glen, so we had some history jamming together. And then Aaron and I met at a little jam session over at Perea. He was playing over there with his band Skillet Head, who's a great band in town. And he was playing upright bass. And I had seen him kind of just like walking on trails and stuff with his brother Cameron. And so I'd seen this dude walking around. I was like, he seems like a cool guy. And then I heard, he's playing music. And then all of a sudden we're like, okay, we got to play music together. So that was kind of the end of that.
So was that the first time you guys came together? You've seen them around town or maybe heard them around town, but didn't really know.
Yeah, we had never jammed. Yeah, we had never jammed before. Yeah, exactly. And then once we did, we were kind of hooked on it.
And so coming together, what type of a conversation? Because you've had your band, but you've also played solo.
Right.
And then coming together with these other gentlemen, tell me about that conversation, coming together and forming this band. And then, because you're touring and the album and the video. So it sounds like you're kind of you guys are all going in a relationship together right now.
Yeah, well,
committed.
Yeah, that's the idea. Is the only way to get something to gain traction. It has to last for a little while. A long while if possible. And so yeah, that was just a decision I had to make to change the lineup of the band because I love the other guys I was playing with a ton. They're wonderful people and great players. The chemistry of what I'm getting with Aaron and Caleb and the time commitment too to work on all these songs is really important. And to go to Seattle and record the album, there's a lot of moving pieces to the puzzle. And so it was a big decision to mix it up, but I feel like it shows a little more depth to my music playing with these guys.
So when did you start putting Cake together? Did all three of you collaborate at some point, or did you start in the beginning before collaborating with them? So
some of these songs I'd written years before even, a lot of my albums have been just songs throughout my past, some new, some older, and kind of a compilation of just tunes from my song library. And just certain ones I would think, would fit really well with that person's voice or that person's vibe. More than, and then, this would sound great with that person's vibe too, talking band members. And so a lot of these songs I kind of wanted to tailor to their strengths and our strength as a group. And then some of these songs off the album, for example, like All It Is really cool because I wrote the song when I was driving. I just kind of had a beat in my head and then came up with the lyrics, and all of a sudden there's the tune. Really, when I got my guitar, the song wrote itself. Just because I already had the melody and the groove, it just in my head. And I thought, that really fits Aaron Moore's voice for lead vocals. So you sing that one, man, and so that's been really cool to if you come to a Leadbetter show, Leadbetter Band, you're going to see Aaron sing half of the songs, half the lead vocals, even on songs that I would have written. And we're really starting to try and collaborate, though, more and doing some more co-writing for the next album. But for this one, it's all tunes that I had written. Mountains came together as we all had started playing together. Open Your Hands, same kind of thing. So a lot of the songs were written when the band really kind of started, just because there was a lot of excitement of the new chemistry from everybody.
Well, and talk too about that commitment, because you said, heading up to Seattle and being available for shows and gigs while still paying the bills.
Right.
There's that, you need the capital, which is whatever, unless you're a full-time musician, as yourself is.
Correct, yeah.
But how do musicians do that? Because some of it's the behind the scenes, like for someone like me that's a consumer of music, that gives you a whole new appreciation to know what those performers, those singers, those songwriters, the guitarists, what that all takes to make that happen.
Right. There's a lot of moving pieces to the puzzle, that's for sure. Mm-hmm.
Booking yourself, do you have someone that does that for you? Or you're all...
Yeah, I'm doing the booking for myself and for the band, trying to, reach out and grow bigger so that we can have somebody else take on that role. But that's another part of working with Aaron and Caleb that I'm really appreciating, is that they're taking on some more of those business tasks that nobody wants to do. It's a necessary thing to do to get gigs, to get your music out in front of people, is that side of things.
Well, I can imagine that, is in any business, you need these different types of individuals to make it work.
Right.
You have, with the music in the music industry, the creative piece of it, keep creating the music and keeping that fresh, but also that business piece, the logistics, the books, the booking, the dealing with management.
Exactly.
That takes up a lot of time too.
Unfortunately, it does, but it's also the part of,
necessary.
I'm really grateful to have the job I have, and that's the job itself. Playing the music, that's my safe space. That's where I feel the best. So, but that's the hard part, is the all that kind of business side of things. So,
and I wanted to ask the title of the CD, of the album, Cake.
Mm-hmm.
Where did that come from?
Well, we everybody likes cake, so we're just trying to capitalize on what everybody wants. Some subliminal messaging. You want to eat this cake.
Well, also, in one of the articles I was reading, being in Bend, we get to have our cake and eat it too.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Just where we live, because it's a pretty special place.
Right. That's the idea, is living your best life while still chasing your dreams. And
would you say that's a theme of this album? Because I know sometimes interviewing musicians or just reading about, this new album it's all about this hardship I was going through, or this time in my life, or a change.
Gotcha.
Would you say any of your albums are like that, or is Cake like that?
I think most of the songs on the album, and most of my songs for the most part in general, are pretty hopeful. Because I like to try and have our songs make people feel better about life, not worse. So that's kind of a theme throughout the album, is that it's just there's some hope in everything.
Well, let's play. I'd like to play the title track.
Cool.
Of Cake.
Yeah.
Called Cake.
Yeah, that's it.
So let's. This is Eric Leadbetter, Leadbetter Band, and the title track to their new album, Cake. Hey, welcome back, everyone. This is Open Air. I'm your host, Dawn Newton, and in studio with me is Eric Leadbetter, Leadbetter Band, and you just heard the title song to their new album, Cake. You just heard Cake.
That was Cake. Piece of cake.
Now, was that a new song, or is that one that you'd written a while ago?
That was one that I'd written in the last couple years. That song kind of came together in a couple parts too, because I wrote the kind of more bluesy grooving thing that it opens with. I wrote that separately from the other part, and then I smashed them together. I'm like, oh, those work great together. So they just kind of two little pieces of that song that just kind of seamlessly flowed together. So
there's 9 tracks on the album. Do you have a favorite?
Oh man, no.
It's like picking your favorite kid.
Yeah, I don't know.
Fortunately, you only have one at this time.
Yeah, likely I can do that. Yeah.
So talk about, on March 4th was the release party at the Domino Room. From what I saw, looks like you had quite a crowd there.
Yeah, it was a great crowd. There were some awesome people there. I mean, just made us feel so good to be based out of Bend, to be doing what we're doing, you know, for people to show up on a Saturday night and come support a local band who's doing original music, and show up in droves like that to come and cheer us on and dance around. We're really grateful. Yeah, it turned out really well, and really stoked for the community came out.
Well, and talk too about the video. I mean, I've watched it several times.
Yeah, cool.
First, I was trying to figure out, okay, where is it? I know where that's at.
I know, right? Yeah.
And it's here in Bend. I don't know if it's not a secret space.
No, it's a Tumalo Reservoir Dam. So where this old reservoir that never was full, because of, there's a story you should look up for that, because I could talk about that all day. But it's right there. The water never came, and there's this like cool looking castle structure almost, you know, and it was this falling apart concrete little 2-story thing that looks just trippy. And I'd driven by that years ago. I was like, that would be a great place for a music video, and never got around to it. And then we had the idea for this music video. We had all these ideas about, oh, let's do it at a school, and like, let's make it like we're little kids and we grow up to be adults, and all of a sudden, like, you know, or the other way around, we're adults and turn to be kids. Yeah, none of that ended up happening, and we were desperate for a place to do this. And I was like, what about the old abandoned dam? And so that worked out really well. It was really cold that day, though. But yeah, it's outside of Tumalo, and it's a cool view.
And you worked with Temple of the Tree Studio up in Seattle.
Yeah, exactly. Joe Reinke was the producer. It was awesome to work with him. He also runs Orbit Audio in Seattle, so he has 2 studios up there. But this was his brand new one. It was so epic. It was this, it's almost like Black Sabbath vibe studio. And it was brand new, you know, it had like these like chandelier kind of things, and like these weird gothic windows with like these like lanterny things. It was definitely old school castle, Black Sabbath, Dragon Slayer vibe. It was cool.
How did you hook up with him?
So
when you're reaching out like that,
I kind of, the way I kind of started with the process, because, you know, we decided to, you know, fund this album ourselves out of pocket. And so what I decided to do was to reach out to several producers in the Pacific Northwest and send them our last album, Cake, and be like, I just want to know, you know, especially producers in our vein of kind of rock and roll, blues, psychedelic rock and jam and stuff. And just to put it out there to people to see who responded and actually got the music. Because I didn't want to just go do a record with a producer who was like, yeah, let's just make another album. I wanted to do it with a producer who actually listened to my songs and was intrigued by what I had to offer as an artist. And so Joe responded the way that it really struck a chord with me, and I feel like he and I really relate a lot on our approach to music in general. So that's why we just clicked in that way, and it was so awesome to have somebody with that much experience to be able to challenge me as a songwriter, because I've also done my own engineering, I've also done my own producing for several albums, so it was nice to have someone with so much experience have me kind of think differently about some of my own ideas. It was cool.
That's pretty amazing to hook up like that. And the location, now the concept of the video, the location, was that all your creative control there?
I mean, like I said, the video location was an act of desperation that ended up working out. But yeah, not really. You know, to be honest, it's like we're kind of just riding the wave of this thing. Yeah.
How long did it take to do the video? Because you've not done a video like that before. An MTV type music video.
Yeah, not exactly. I mean, we did one for Shivers, but it wasn't quite the same. That was from the very first Leadbetter Band album. But yeah, this was really fun, to play, to lip sync over a song and dance around with your buddies and have some fun. It was ridiculous.
And eat cake.
Yeah, it was fun, and I think you can see that in the video that we were just kind of doing what we normally do.
How long did it take to shoot it?
Really, it only took a handful of hours, like maybe 3 hours. And then Tyler Valzania is the videographer. He did some drone stuff too, and he nailed it first try. He didn't even have to. I'm just like, dude, it's perfect. You nailed it. You didn't have to edit anything, and yeah, he did a great job.
And then watching it back, what's the feedback been?
People have been stoked. Like I think, especially the people that know us around here and know that spot. There's been a lot of response like, "Oh, I live right over there," or another musician in town said, "I've been meaning to record a music video there for years, and you beat me to it." Like, yeah, I know. It's pretty fun though. But so that's been kind of cool to, the local community with that, and it's obviously out on social media and it's out on YouTube, and so we're putting it out there to try and get some traction. And yeah, we're definitely getting some views on it, so that's cool.
Well, it's just awesome. I mean, like we were off air, I was just saying, it's just really awesome to, as a consumer of music myself, and then knowing you and getting to know you last summer. I mean, Eric he performed at our son's welcome dinner, rehearsal dinner, and then just which was amazing.
That was
by
a
the way.
Great party.
Yeah, and we can plug that you do shows or performances like that, solo or the band.
Yeah, or duo. I've done several weddings, and it's always really fun when the wedding people are fun.
Yeah, we were kind of fun.
Yeah, it definitely helps.
It was so that was just you're known as, or I guess described as, and I don't know if you like that, a vintage rock.
That's awesome, sure.
The energy, vintage rock energy, dynamic vocal sound, but you play all genres of music. I know this, what the band does, is really your heart.
A lot of it, yeah.
Yeah.
This one was kind of cool because, I played all the piano on it, and all the organ and stuff, which was really fun because that's an instrument that's pretty near and dear to me. I've never been exceptional at it, but it's been...
How many instruments do you play total?
Oh, I don't even...
Do you just pick it up?
The normal ones, drums, bass, guitar, keyboards, and then I used to play trumpet, but I love playing percussion stuff, weird little percussion instruments. I always love those.
And you've added a lot of funk to this album.
Right, because that's always been something that the other kind of albums of Leadbetter Band are more straightforward, kind of rock and roll vibe stuff. And there's a funkier, more danceable side to my music, too, that I feel like these guys definitely relate to. And they can also do the rock and stuff, so...
Well, I think it's time for another song, too.
Yeah.
I think...
You're talking about some funk. Funk, that's the funky one.
Yeah, let's do it. We're going to do All It Is.
This is Aaron Moore on the lead vocals, too.
Need a fresh start like a second wind. Got your finger on the pulse. Is there anything there? Take another breath like a second wind. Everybody knows it's all it is. Need a fresh start like a second wind. Got your finger on the pulse. Is there anything there? Take another breath like a second wind. Everybody knows it's all it is. Everybody knows it's all it is. Everybody knows it's all to lose it. If you got it, don't abuse it. If you want it, go and get it. If you got it, I'm better use it to lose it. If you got it, got it, got it, got it, got it, got it. Need a fresh start like a second wind. Got your finger on the pulse. Is there anything there? Take another breath like a second wind. Everybody knows it's all it is. 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 Everybody knows it's all it is.
You are listening to Open Air with Don Newton on 88.9 KPOV High Desert Community Radio.
Hey, welcome back, everyone. This is Open Air. I am your host, Don Newton. In studio with me today, Eric Leadbetter, Leadbetter Band. We're here talking about his debut album, Cake. And we've been playing some tracks, some of the songs from that CD. And there's a YouTube. They did a video, Cake. You need to look it up. Social media, where do we find you? Plus, you have a website, too.
Right. So if you go to Leadbetter Band on Instagram or Facebook, it'll take you right there. And that's spelled Leadbetter. Sometimes people forget the A in there. But then same thing, you go to ericledbettermusic.com. You can get, I got, links to the merchandise, tour dates, videos, albums, all that kind of stuff. So
let's talk about the tour. You've got, from what I could tell, you're booked from now, even before today, all the way through September and beyond, I'm sure. Yes,
I'm kind of chilling right now because, it's a nice, it was kind of, springtime every year for booking is just kind of like, go, it's February, March, January, February, after the new year, everybody kind of gets super busy. So it's nice. Summer's mostly dialed in, but we're really trying to get the band out there into different places. I used to play a lot in Lake Tahoe and played there last September. So I decided, let's bring the band down there. We're playing there in May. For St. Patrick's Day, we're going to Lake Oswego, the same old new Gemini. And we're playing Malino Barn the next night in Malino, Oregon. We're going out to Boise. We're doing Sun Valley, Seattle. We're trying to get out there this summer a lot more to some new states. We got Nevada, California, Washington, Oregon, and Idaho. And some of those are several times, so that'll be good to get.
Are you doing my mind is going blank, festivals like the 3-day weekend type stuff? Or
yeah, we are doing a few of those, and we're still waiting to hear back on a couple, but the ones that I can definitely announce are we're definitely gonna be part of Newberry Music Festival this year again out in La Pine. And we're going to be part of a steampunk music festival, which is also in La Pine. That's going to be an awesome one. There's some big names that they haven't announced yet, so you got to stay tuned to that one. And then we're playing Manifest, which is up in Centerville, Washington. That's a really cool music festival. So, and then I got picked up to play at the Klamath Folk Festival doing my solo acoustic guitar. That's out in September, so
nice.
End of August.
I know locally, I think I've got you down March 22nd next Wednesday at the Waypoint.
That's one of them coming up here soon. I think I'm doing Rivers Place coming up here really soon too with Pete Kartsunas and Aaron Moore too. So that could be a really fun one as well. Yeah, that's on March 23rd. We'll be at Faith, Hope, and Charity Vineyards on Friday the 24th, 7th Mountain the 25th. So, and then, Crosscut on the 29th, Walt Riley's the 30th, and then I'm going up to Kells in Portland for the 31st. But yeah, so if you check out my website, I do a lot of little solo gigs around town to kind of, have some fun and practice my guitar and singing and work on new stuff.
And private parties.
Yeah, when I'm not doing the band stuff, I'll kind of, play some solo stuff and do a whatever. Yeah, exactly.
And just keep going. That Kells one in Portland, that should be very lively.
Yeah,
That's
Kells is a cool
venue.
spot. I mean, it's my first time playing there. Last year, I actually got hired to play there for a wedding and for like a reception and stuff. But they rented the whole place out. And then that's how the owner or the manager heard me and said, you got to come back and do a show for us during like normal hours and stuff. So I'm going to go try it out and hang out in Portland for a night.
So when do you start? When do you head out again? Like this Friday.
Friday and Saturday.
And then keep going.
And so the way our schedule kind of works, because, we're a dad band is what I like to say. Because, I got a kiddo and Caleb's got 2 kids. So what we're doing for our tour scheduling is pretty much between now and, for a long time until we decide we're going to take a weekend off, is we're going to go out every other weekend to not, so that, everybody can still have their family time, have their cake and eat it too.
Well, your little guy, he's following in Daddy's footsteps, it sounds like.
Yeah, he probably practices
He's 3.
And plays more music than I do. It's like all day long. I love it.
That's pretty amazing. And talk to you about the band coming together, what your advice would be for upcoming bands or musicians that want to come together. What would be your advice for them?
Oh, man. Be optimistic, but be realistic, too. Because, the funny thing is I'm 38 years old, and I've had a band since I was 14 years old. And there's never been a time in my life from then till now that I haven't had a band. It's not always been called Leadbetter Band. For 10 years, I did the Jive Cooley thing. And within that period, the lineup changes happen so frequently. At a certain point, like I was kind of keeping the band going by replacing, we need a bass player for this tour. We needed a drummer for this tour. And that got exhausting to the point that I didn't feel like it was really making sense for me to keep pushing that. So my advice would be is to find people, if you're going to do a band, find people that have the similar work ethic and that will all take on different roles in the band and be able to be held accountable without getting angry or defensive. And, because that's what it really takes is many, many minds coming together to make something excellent happen. And if you can't find people that can do that can take on the tasks, a many hands make light work kind of method, it's a little communist attitude of mine, then it might be smarter for whoever is the driving force of the band to go after it as their own name and then find people to play with that are hired guns kind of a thing. And that was kind of the idea with Leadbetter Band when I started, because the Jive Cooley vision was people that are all working together and everybody taking on roles in the band to make it grow and grow, and that just wasn't happening. So when I retired that's exactly the model I went after. Is okay, I'm going to name it Leadbetter Band. That way, no matter what happens, I'm always going to be here. And if somebody changes in the band, then that changes the vibe a little bit. But the band is still Leadbetter Band because that's my last name. And I ended up being blessed. The 4 guys I have played with have all been so loyal and so awesome and just hardworking. And so it kind of that worked for me and has worked to this point. And so there's kind of a couple ways to go about that, starting a band. And
is there is the goal today as a musician to get a label, to get that contract? Is that still the brass ring?
Not that I know of, to be honest, because these days records and CDs aren't what's necessarily selling like crazy that I know of. I think it's all about live shows and ticket sales. So instead of getting on labels and stuff, we have our own quote unquote label, because we're self-funded, we're a grassroots band. But I think at the end of the day, you want to get on the festival circuit so that you can get it in front of all those people that love live music so much and want to come out and dance and come check out live shows and stuff.
I think we miss the bands. We miss our rock and roll bands for sure.
There's not as many of them left because it's one of those things like rock and roll never die and it comes in waves. I feel like you look at the 90s and the way that wave happened after disco. So, I have faith.
Has it ever appealed to you in any way, shape, or form? Any of the music shows like America's Got Talent, American Idol, The Voice? Has that ever? And not to demean any of those, but has that ever been something you've considered? I
honestly haven't watched a whole lot of that stuff, and not really, because I don't think that's who I am, really. You know what I mean? And so I had a friend who actually did try out for that, and it didn't work out. And in my mind, I thought it's a career. Careers take like decades. So it's not like you just, some people, if you get really lucky, you go on a show and you get famous and you're bam, you made it. But it's kind of, that's what Cake is all about. This album is, living your best life and not needing to sell out. And just being able to make music. Instead of trying to be a shticky thing, it's like, I just want to be a human being that makes music that I enjoy and that other people enjoy, so.
Let's listen to another track. I think I keyed up, what do we got? It's number 5, Another Light Year.
Oh, cool. Yeah, this one's super cool.
All right, well, here we go. This is Another Light Year off of Cake.
You
Welcome back, everyone. This is Open Air. I'm your host, Dawn Newton. You were just listening to, I want to make sure I get the name correct, Another Light Year off of Cake. Talking with Eric Leadbetter, the Leadbetter Band. This is their debut album, their third one, Cake. I love it. I think it's amazing.
Yeah, like it's a debut album of the two new members, but the name of the band is still Leadbetter Band. So it's
you've been around a while.
Yeah, I've been doing the Leadbetter Band. I think since 2019 was the first album, but I think we were playing for maybe a year and a half or something before the album came out, maybe 2.
When I was asking you off air, we were talking about when you were working with, I want to make sure that I say the name correctly. Where did it go? Temple of the Tree Studio.
Right.
And you said you learned some things from him. And I was curious what that was. So it wasn't a creative control type of thing. It was just elevating, giving you things to think about that you hadn't thought about before. What was that?
Yeah, and it was like I was telling you, it was very specific things. And by the way, that was Joe Reinke playing the Swarmatron on that last track. The Swarmatron is a very, very bizarre, cool instrument that he really knew how to make sound even extra weird. It was great. But he played that instrument on 2 of the songs. So, but this guy's been around doing this thing, in band, in, the Seattle scene since the 80s. Very, prominent member of the music community out there. And, so, he has years of experience, doing producing. And so it was really nice to work with him to challenge my process. Because like I was saying, I've been self-produced for pretty much all of these albums I've done with Jive Cooley and with Leadbetter Band and stuff, with the help from some engineers and stuff like that. But, it was nice to actually go in with the thought of like, okay, I want to talk, I want somebody to tell me, that guitar tone is off. Let's try a different guitar. Or like, for example, or, maybe let's not do doubling of this distorted electric guitar, but let's do a doubling of this clean guitar or something like that, just to get these different sonic qualities. And then, kind of with my lead playing too, it was cool because, I really trusted his opinion of like, okay, that was the one. You know what I mean? I wouldn't really have to guess. But like, if he says that's the one, I kind of believe him. So, and that ended up working really well. I feel like just kind of having a little bit of faith in someone else to look at it with a fresh ear.
Will you continue working with him?
I'd love to in certain circumstances. Whenever the opportunity arises, I would highly recommend working with him to anybody as well as us. One thing we were thinking about, I think why we had so much magic in the studio, though, is because we'd never been there. We'd never met Joe. We'd never been all to Seattle and like had a blast for a week together, like working really hard, but then having fun and eating good food at night and scootering around and just causing a little bit of a ruckus, getting on the ferry. And yeah, I mean, we had a blast. So I think recreating that is impossible because it was the first time. So part of our theory is, well, maybe we should try that somewhere else next time. Let's go to Mexico City and like try and, find a producer down there that would work with us or something.
Kind of the best adult band camp.
Yeah. And it's not free either. But I mean, you can't, those experiences and the music that we got out of that experience is priceless to me.
So are you still, I know last time we talked and we were talking about like what, how did you do during COVID? And I know are you still doing lessons?
Not really, no. I have a couple students out there south of town where I live just because it's close and I want to provide those opportunities out there. But not really in band. Occasionally, like there's some students I have, they'll be like, come check in once every 2 or 3 months, which is awesome. I love that. But no, not really teaching as much, mostly focusing on gigging and trying to come up with new material with the band. What
can we as consumers, listeners, fans of your music, what can we do to help promote this one, Cake?
Oh man, I mean, the biggest way to support it is to buy a physical copy or a digital copy, but I understand a lot of people don't do that anymore, so the next best thing, if you're not going to buy a copy of it, and I got vinyl of all the albums and CDs, I'll ship them to you myself with a little sticker in the bag. But you can go online to my website to do that. But if you're not that kind of person to to buy albums, which I totally understand in this day and age, it's not for everyone. go to Spotify or iTunes or wherever you listen to music and listen to us, and then follow us on those. Be a monthly subscriber on YouTube, like our Facebook, like, you know, all those things. Share us on your social media. Be like, I love this album these guys made in band. Check it out. You know, that's how traction happens, is
word of mouth and social media.
Yeah, because you never know who might find. You know, you might find some people that really like your music, and who knows where, if the right, you know, people are putting it out there.
Well, Eric, we're about out of time, and I want to close out with one of your songs. We're going to do what we started with, Bluebells. And where can we find you next? You'll be back, next Wednesday?
Yeah,
at Waypoint.
In Bend, I'll be at the Waypoint on Wednesday. And yeah, another really fun one, though, to check out if you get a chance will be that Thursday, Rivers Place. If you haven't been to Rivers Place yet, do yourself a favor, go there. It's awesome. I'll be with Pete Cartsunes, as many of you people know, and my buddy Aaron Moore on bass. The three of us are going to sing a bunch of songs. It's going to be a great time. So got some options. If you want to see like my full calendar, go to ericleadbettermusic.com. You can see all that stuff.
Don't forget Instagram, Facebook, all the social places.
Yeah, thanks for plugging me away over here. I appreciate it.
Tag.
Yeah,
well, Eric, I appreciate it. Can't wait for you to come back. More music. And that does it for me in today's edition of Open Air. And we're going to take it out with Bluebells from Leadbetter Band's Cake.
Open Air is written, produced, and hosted by Don Newton.